in our quest for a harmonious and serene existence. We cherish every moment of our daily lives, often preoccupied with our routines that we miss unusual things happening around us, unless they truly captivate our attentions. Today, we invite you to hear from people who have first-hand experiences with paranormal activities.
About 3 years ago, I found out that my best friend passed away. She lost her battle with addiction, and I didn't find out for about a year after. And when I found out, it wasn't okay. And I got this tattoo for her. After she was gone, I noticed that it felt like somebody was sitting in my passenger seat. And will often push on my small back or give me a squeeze or my hand. And I know that that's my best friend. And I know that that is her staying connected to me and letting me know that I am not by myself. She comes to me in dreams and she hangs out with me in the car, and she's here with me right now. She sits in the red chair in the corner, and sometimes I can feel the compression of her sitting next to me on the couch. I have wind chimes in my basement. There's no wind in there. There's no fan. And they are in a place where they won't be hit and accidentally chime, and they go off. Don't make fun of this. Don't push it under the rug and pretend that it doesn't exist, because it does.
I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I was at my grandparents' house. It was a really old house, and there was a tree, a really old tree. It was more than 100-year-old, and it had just been there since I don't know when. But we were eating in the kitchen. My cousins and I were around the table, and my grandparents were right there as well. But I saw a hand, because we always left the door open. Saw a hand just pass by the door, and I said, okay. I got really curious, and so checked it out, and I saw a white lady standing right next to the big tree in front of that. And since then, I've always been so scared of the dark. I would say to be more curious, because I think that people don't believe in them just because they're so wrapped in their own world that they don't really want to hear other people's perspectives on different things, and whatever they just don't want to hear, or something that's scary, they just shut out. I think they exist because I don't know if you believe in reincarnation, but I do. And I think that those lost spirits, I'd say, they're trying to look for a home, but they can't really find one yet. So that's how they kind of linger around.
It's your imagination. It's in your mind. There's no such a thing. I don't believe it.
The story happened to me about a couple months ago, where I woke up in the middle of the night and to use the washroom, and I was trying to head back to sleep. I felt like a really big sense, like someone trying to pull my blanket off of me, and it felt really, really strong, like 10 people trying to pull my blanket off of me. Went about for 15 to 20 minutes until it eventually stopped. It felt really, really strong, like if I didn't hold on to my blanket tight enough, it was gonna rip it off of me, and I was gonna see whatever was trying to do this. So luckily, I kept my blanket on over my head and kept my eyes closed until it went away. And I was scared to go to sleep for the rest of the week, and afraid that it was gonna happen again, and I was gonna get scared to death more and more often, and that I was gonna have to move into another room. I've heard stories about it, I've seen videos about it, I know people who've experienced the paranormal. It's definitely real, and people should believe in it. If you don't believe in ghosts or jinns or demons, that's your own opinion.
We don't pay attention to what's exactly surrounding us behind closed doors in the dark.
Everyone should believe in the paranormal. There's a reason why cultures all around the world have stories about the paranormal. I believe they exist. And should believe in the paranormal for sure.
Because I do sometimes hear things and whatnot, and you always question due to films and whatnot, social media. But at the same time, I feel like that causes people to believe in it.
Now, if you bother the paranormal, you're gonna get bothered. If you don't bother the paranormal, you won't get bothered.
I lived in an apartment with a lady passed before, and I heard noises and always figured, but that being said, there was no conclusive evidence that that was the case.
I was 6. My brother and I were playing, and he said that he saw a hand on my shoulder. My great-grandmother passed away. The night before we found out, my mother saw a figure going into our rooms and then disappeared. She later believed that it was our great-grandmother, as the next morning she got a phone call saying that she had passed. When I was 17, I felt a presence in my home. It was warm, and I definitely believe that paranormal activity exists.
Just don't mess around. It's not worth it. Respect is the most important at the end of the day. Even if you don't believe,
still be careful. Always be wary because you never know who is in tune with those energies. Whether or not you believe, someone else does, and energy doesn't die.
My mom, who grew up with along with her family members in Mexico, in the fields, in farmhouses, in the forests. Her and her siblings, when she was young, and her cousins saw what they thought it was might have been maybe a bonfire inside a cabin just outside their house in the woods. But nothing was actually burning up. There was just a big bright light, a big red bright light inside the small cabin that looked like a fire, but again, nothing was burning up, nothing was like falling apart. It was just a big bright light. And then in the morning when the adults checked that out, there was nothing there, like nothing ever happened. I've heard things in my house, but like that's it. Like I've never actually seen anything. I do think it does exist, because if there is an afterlife, then there certainly is a paranormal activity. Always pray. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, just pray. The happier you'll be and the safer you'll be with God's energy along.
There's a higher power. He's our savior. He's our provider. He will save us.
I was going upstairs to my bed and I saw in my brother's room. Prior to that, I was kind of scared to sleep there, and I moved rooms before that. And he was just sitting on the bed with like his hat, and he was like kneeled down, and it was a really scary experience. So I just went to my bed, and then after that, I didn't see him again. People that don't believe about the ghost, I think that should believe, because I don't think that you should make fun of them.
Personally, I'm not a believer. I'm the type of person I'd have to see it to believe it.
We 100% believe that paranormal activity exists everywhere around us.
Always listening all the time. Everywhere exists.
I kept having a dream that my aunt's friend, she was coming out of the closet, and she kept telling me that I needed to tell my aunt to let her out of the closet. And I didn't understand what this meant, but after a couple of times of having the dream, I called my aunt and I said, "Your friend Irene keeps telling me that she needs to come out of the closet." And my aunt told me that her friend had passed away and she was the executor, and she had her ashes in an urn and she had placed it in the closet. And so then the dream made sense.
Not believing it won't stop you from it not happening. It's there. They're everywhere. And having that experience myself, I can say, even if someone doesn't believe, it's there. Don't make fun of it, because that's just inviting them to you. And the paranormal are always listening.
You need to keep an open mind, and you're going to experience good or bad depending on your perception of everything. So don't be negative about it. Don't do negative things and it'll be good. I don't think it's good to make fun of anybody, so you probably will get bad reaction if you make fun.
When I was about 8 years old, my great-grandpa, who died about 2 months prior, I woke up and he was in my room as a spirit. He was like green color. Came to sit on my bed and kind of like reached out to say bye to me. I went underneath my blanket because I was a scared kid, and then when I came up, he was gone.
I think it's a very, very interesting as well as unknown of a concept that we know very little about, which is very frightening. It's not something to get into just for fun, because again, we know very little about it, and it can be dangerous and people can get hurt. or even killed.
They're everywhere. They are listening.
When I was a kid, I was in my furnace room and I always thought I smelled this weird perfume, or it wasn't the laundry detergent, that I know, but I was always terrified of some lady in the corner of my furnace room, and I never really believed it. I thought it was a paranoid child who would run away from the dark, scary furnace room, until a couple weeks ago my dad said he also would smell the same perfume in the basement, and I didn't think anything of it because he didn't see that like ghostly pale figure lurking in the back corner. She had like stringy white hair, and she looked young, but with very aged features, like wrinkles on her skin, droopy eyes, but she looked young and very slim. And then I also still didn't think much of it till my brother said he saw someone that looked very similar.
Don't mess around with them.
Always in dreams and stuff, I always thought I was attacked by stuff. And then one time I got into meditating to try and like cure this ailment. And I go into meditation and your mind gets quiet. But after that, my vision goes clear and it's like seeing like pitch black darkness, but you're focused on your eyes. And I'm confused because this doesn't normally happen. And in the corner of my vision, I see a face that starts to show up that it mimics something I've seen in real life, and it starts to show up and it gets super, super clear. And as this face shows up perfectly in my vision, I hear this demonic laugh, like ha ha ha, and it scares the out of me to the point where I had a seizure in my room with my roommate watching. It was one of the craziest experiences I've ever had in my life.
Just because you don't see them doesn't mean they don't exist.
No, it's real. It's real. Because here's the one thing I noticed is that the devil, right, will try to drag you away from God, right? So they'll put any deceive and lies to you, right? The one thing I know about the devil is really good at is they will take advantage of what you're very good at. Demons have the power to harm you, right? You might not think physically, but they'll put hallucinations in your mind to think that it's real.
Don't make fun of them. They're gonna come after you.
They're coming after you. They will come after you no matter what.